Bene, mi dicono che possiamo cominciare.
They tell me we can start. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being here. We are celebrating today for the first time a focus on Russia. This is an activity that is organized by General Director Cinema and Cinecitta and Roskino. I invite our director, Nicola Borrelli, for a brief greeting. No? No? Oh, okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank the organizers of this important meeting that is a follow-up to last year's meeting and is part of a series of workshops that tend to favor relationships in audiovisual and cinema relationships with Russia in a moment that is particularly favorable from the point of view of cinema production in Russia. In Italy as well, we are experiencing a relatively lucky time in mostly for cinema production and TV series production. Thanks to the contribution by the government in the latest 18 months, Italian TV production has considerably increased. Much of it was as a response to the needs coming from the market, the request for contents to all media and audiovisual providers. In this sense, the specific support by the government also joined to the reduction in costs after the COVID safety measures imposed by the pandemic have led in Italy to full employment from the point of view of the audiovisual sector, which is why the Italian government has decided to support firmly Cinecittà. We have the CEO of Cinecittà, Nicola Maccanico, with us. Important funds were allocated to make this the headquarters of Cinecittà a reference hub for cinema and audiovisual production at international level. All of these measures have a common denominator, which is the search for an integration of the Italian production chain with our international partners, both in cinema and in TV series. Among our partners, certainly we want Russia among the others. The Italian government will continue to make operators available together with a number of contributions with the greatest possible flexibility and hopefully without too much red tape. And among the most important objectives of the measures adopted, we have the growth of international co-productions. Co-productions that, among the first protagonists, have the different businesses that have to find projects to be developed and distributed at international level together, but that also require a contribution and financial resources from the public institutions. We should today try and understand what are the possibilities to modify the contributions provided by the state in Italy and in Russia to make a strong collaboration possible between Italy and Russia. Over the last few years, we have had a number of examples, particularly interesting examples. Cooperation for the movie on Michelangelo by Konchalovsky. It was a great operation built up step by step by the two governments, by the producers first, but with the support of the different national administrations. We can consider that as an experiment. It should turn into a consolidated praxis, something easily accessible for all Italian and Russian producers that should be able to find a convergence in projects that might apply for the international market. We will go on following the works of this meeting, hoping they will be a source of larger relationships between Italy and Russia, which is the reason why we are here and why we are working together. I am bringing you the greetings of Vice Secretary Borgonzoni, whom unfortunately cannot be here with us today. She would certainly she should be here to represent the determination of the Italian government to work for a strengthening of the cinema and audiovisual sector in general, and above all the collaboration of Italian businesses with international businesses of this sector, in this case between Italian and Russian producers, following the line of what we have been trying to do for a couple of years. Vice Secretary Borgonzoni has asked me to inform her about the results of this workshop. We could avoid this if she was here with us, but we will report to her. Thank you, Mr. Borrelli. This initiative is the result of a request by Vice Secretary Borgonzoni. She went to Russia. She realized the importance of that market, the growth of that industry, and she asked us to organize this meeting as soon as possible. During that journey, we were supported by our ambassador in Moscow, Pasquale Terracciano. I would pass him the floor. He's connected from Moscow. Ambassador, you have the floor. Good evening. I would like to send my greetings to Mr. Borrelli, Mr. Stabile, Mrs. Markova, and the guests in the room, all those who are connected online. It is a pleasure for me to be here and greet you from Moscow. I welcome this initiative, which is aimed at building on the mutual understanding and collaboration that has always existed between Italy and Russia in all sectors, including cinema. Last year in Venice, within the framework of the Film Festival 2020, I presented a volume that was published by the embassy in Moscow, 100 years of collaboration between Italy and Russia, and that told the story of this cinema collaboration in cinema, starting from the revolution in October, with some pioneers of the Italian cinema in Petersburg. They were protagonists of the first stages of cinema production in Russia. And then the book focuses on the golden period of the attraction in Russia towards Italian cinema, the neorealistic period, 1960s, 1970s. That season has become part of the Russian imagination and is still fascinating the Russian generations, including the youngest generations of Russian citizens. On that basis, a number of experiences were developed between Italy and Russia that became part of the world cinematic heritage. The first collaboration started during the Soviet period, the Red Tent, Nostalgia, or Cicciorni. But as Mr. Borrelli was saying before, we also have more recent examples like the co-production, the movie by Andrei Konchalovsky, who was with me last year at the presentation of the book in Venice, Il peccato, il furore di Michelangelo. There are additional possibilities for co-producing. In the last few months, I favored a number of contacts for a possible co-production of a movie taken from the book Il Sergente nella Neve by Mario Rigoni Stern. A Russian producer is interested in telling this story. Contacts are continuing. I hope we will have a new example of a successful co-production. I am convinced that Italian and Russian experts who will speak at this meeting will provide us with interesting suggestions on the Russian market of audiovisual cinema production, possibilities for investors, producers, directors, technicians, and creative figures in our country. For us, Italians, more than others, the world of cinema will certainly take advantage from a better knowledge of the requests and the needs of the sector in Russia, its formats, its tastes, and its desires. We should build on the deep fascination, on the natural attraction Russian citizens have for Italy, for our living style, and for our way of representing life. From my observatory in Moscow over the last 4 years, I've experienced how there is a complementary relationship between Italy and Russia. The Russians like to share their common story, looking for new territories to further increase the collaboration. And the example of the novel by Mario Rigoni Stern is a good example. There is a genuine affection by the Russian public towards Italy, Italian cinema, its culture. So the message I'm trying to send to open this workshop, this seminar, is that we should invest on the connection between Italy and Russia. The Russian public, also middle class, is extremely sensitive to the Italian cinema production. And to conclude, I would say that focused meetings like this can certainly help us identify new strategies and new possibilities to go back as protagonists on the Russian market, where we are supported by the sensitivity and the appreciation of the Russian public. I wish you a fruitful meeting and my best wishes to you all. Thank you, Ambassador, for your contribution. We have spoken a lot about our Russian colleagues. I would introduce them. I would invite the technical staff to send a video where they tell about themselves.
Films and 3,500 hours of series are produced in Russia annually. Some of them you can see on Netflix. But why should you choose to co-produce and co-create with Russia? There are several reasons. Co-production funding in Russia. In 2019, the Russian Ministry of Culture ran its first competition for support for co-production projects with minority participation by Russian producers. Up to $135,000 of subsidies can be provided per minority co-production project. And today, in 2021, we can already see the results of such an initiative. For example, the success of Compartment Number 6 by Juho Kusmanen, Grand Prix in Cannes Film Festival 2021. The Kino Prime Foundation was established in 2019 and is the only private fund in Russia. Its main goal is to provide comprehensive support for modern cinema. Each project can claim up to 50% of the production budget, but with a limit of $1.5 million. Russia is a part of the global co-pro landscape. Russia has been a member of Eurimage since 2011. Russia is a member of the 1992 European Convention on Cinematographic Co-Production and has bilateral co-production agreements with the following countries, and has joined a multilateral agreement with the CIS countries. Russia has world-class talent, producers. Find your perfect partner among our best producers. Directors. Actors, such as Yuri Kolokolnikov, Svetlana Khodchenkova, Yulia Snegir, Yuri Borisov, Alexander Kuznetsov, Danila Kozlovsky, and many others. Russia offers a full circle of post-production services. Hollywood-quality visual effects for your movies. Locations. We believe Russia can melt anyone's heart because you can find the whole world within it. The cold beauty of Iceland, the pacifying tunes of Thailand, the romance of Venice, the Spanish passion for life, the cozy streets of Prague, and the freshness of the Alps. And all of this at a competitive price because in Russia, you pay in rubles. Russia has 26 local film commissions. There is financial support in the regions, subsidies and rebates. The best proof of everything mentioned above are co-production success stories. Compartment Number 6, Persian Lessons, Keto Boy, Arrhythmia, Core of the World, The Man Who Surprised Everyone, The Humorist, Dovlatov, Loveless, ANICA, Paradise, Zoology, Shake Your Cares Away, Captain Volkanogov Escaped, Rasterguev, White Road, Where is Anne Frank, and interactive VR animation series Under the Pillow. Meet Russian producers at the Venice Film Festival 2021.
Bene, abbiamo visto una piccola...
Okay, we have seen a short presentation of the audiovisual industry in Russia. Now we give the floor to them, and we have mentioned Roskino many times. Now we have Eugenio Markova, the director of Roskino, with we could create these 2 days of the forum with Russia, focus on Russia. Here you are. Good afternoon. I'm going to speak English. Dear colleagues, dear friends, I hope I can call you like that from now on. Being here in Venice is always a dream come true, but today it is also a victory and a challenge indeed. It is a challenge for the Russian cinema, which has a very strong historical link with the Italian cinema, and that has been here in Venice for many years. We are going to celebrate the 90 years of the first edition of the Venice Film Festival, the oldest festival in the world, and now we feel a double responsibility of open a new cooperation, a totally new one. The Focus on Russia is an extraordinary event that has never taken place in Italy. It is a newborn with many hopes. It is a beginning of our common path and hopefully also of a high quality dialogue. The cinema industry in Russia has reached new levels from the point of view of production and support by the state. The Russian cinema enjoys the great success both in theaters but also on the VOD platforms and in the festivals. We really hope that the meeting among the representatives of the different areas of the industry, cinema, series, animation, TV, will enable to launch a collaboration between our two countries from now on and for many years in order to create important projects not only for our two markets but also thanks to the talent of our two industries also with the international markets. And now I would like to introduce to you the members of the Russian delegation and the protagonists, the most brilliant protagonists and players.
Which represents all the segment of Russian industry, which has been developing very fast. We definitely had a fall after the break of the Soviet Union for maybe 20 years, but in the recent 11 years, it had a great jump, and Russia is now number 7 in respect of cinematographic releases in the world. We're really getting top views on the global platforms year by year, and it happened because the governmental support has been increased dramatically and the global collaboration was also started. We brought today a bright delegation of both producers, so your potential partners, as well as state authority. On the line with us is the Ministry of Culture. We brought also the major representative of the Cinema Fund, the private cinema fund, which supports Russia, Russian co-production projects with foreign partners as well. And definitely we're in partnership with the Association of Producers who can connect you to everybody and anybody within the country. And let me introduce you the first speaker, who is Olga Zinikova. She is the vice president of the cinema chain. We decided that it will be also relevant and interesting for you to understand what is the Russian market about, what is the theatrical releases potential present here. So Olga will show us a little clip about the theatrical market here and tell a couple of words about the situation there and also potential of Italian films within the country. Olga, we are glad to see you here. Maybe we can start the video first. Thank you. Can I ask you to give us some highlights about the market, some numbers, about the trends, because definitely the situation on the global theatrical market is dramatic usually, but in Russia it's not the case. Can you share a little bit about that? And also tell us about the situation with Italian releases in Russia. How is it going now?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting us. That's really important because you know that cinema industry, especially exhibitors, were quite suffered from the pandemic. But Jenny, you're absolutely right. We see a very fast recovery after the pandemic. While we still have some restrictions, like 50% of the whole occupancy, still Russia right now has already achieved the numbers that we were expecting. And we are right now the second market after China, which has more admissions and more box office than in 2020. And while, as we mentioned in our video, it was extremely fast-growing market for the last 15 years. And we started like with 10 cinemas, and right now it's 5,000 screens in Russia. And we have cinemas which have like 10 screens, 17 screens, and 22 screens. So we can provide the variety of different content in our cinemas. And what is good about the Russian cinemas, not only Karo, but, well, of course, Karo is the leading chain, is that cinemas are very well equipped. They are very, very digitalized. And it attracts young people to the cinemas. That's the reason why we have 200 million visits per year. While we see that Italian movies have just 60,000 admissions, which I believe should be more because the capacity that we have allow us to show much more Italian movies or to show some festivals. Right now, we as Caro, we have 3 festivals, 3 Italian festivals. And this is the part of our film booking program, which we call Caro Art. So right now we are focused on more like art house movies, which is not the trend we had not long time ago, because you know that in Soviet times, the epoch of neorealism of Italian movies was so successful that, for example, we know names of Fellini, Zeffirelli, Bertolucci, Visconti, even better than our own directors from those times. So there was the whole generation who was watching Italian movies, and right now we understand that there is no such level of representatives. So there are just a few names right now in Russia which mass audience know quite good, which is, of course, Paolo Sorrentino. And, well, right now, I just want to say that we have quite ambitious expansion for the next year. So while the cinemas have some restrictions, we see a huge content in the future. In the 2021, the great movies will be on a big screen, and we increase our chain and add 100 screens in Moscow and in some big regions, so we can have more and more options to show the movies that I believe you bring to us.
We'll see many Italian movies very soon.
Absolutely.
Or co-produced movies. And our next speaker is also from Russia. He's on Zoom now. He's coming only tomorrow, and we will be able to meet him in person in our session on Monday. His name is Vlad Ryashin. Since it's a very bright representation also from the Italian side, and we have also your colleagues from RAI who are coming, right? Because of the COVID restrictions, we need to split it a bit. Vlad is also representing basically 2 important areas. First of all, he represents the Association of Producers of Russia. They basically, these association and producers who are there, they produce more than 70% of everything what the market produces, and he's one of the initiators of it. And secondly, he has one of the biggest companies, which is called Star Media, who's producing series in the country. And we have a bunch of media holdings in the country, and his company is working basically with every And he's also quite successful in his co-production story. So we thought for the cooperation in the segment of series and television, he's definitely one of the speakers who is worth discussing this topic. Vlad, I would like to give you the floor, please.
Thank you, Eugenia. Hello, everybody. Salute. So I can start some words about the Association of our film and television producers. So it includes more than 40 film companies, industry leaders. In aggregate, they produce over 70, as Evgenia said, full Russian video content. It's feature films, also series, documentaries, animated films, television shows, and so on. In particular, the Association of Producers solves such important tasks as fighting against piracy and creation of conditions for shooting in the regions of Russia. Offers also legislative initiatives, supports the development of specialized education and holding of industry events. Then some words about Star Media. But speaking about association, I can say that if you have any ideas, any initiatives, you can go by two ways. You can find directly the company, such as Star Media or another company, or you can go to the association, you can send or write to our association, and you can be in touch in more than 40 companies of Russia. Speaking about our company, Star Media is a group of companies, and we are producing feature films, series, television series. We are working also with streamers now, and also documentaries. Last years we started to co-produce with different European companies, and I can say that we have some experiences, and I want to talk about that. Last year it was on the air in Poland and also in Czech Republic, also in Germany, and also in Italy, as I know, a try. It was the 10 hours, sorry, television series which called I'm sorry, I forgot the name in English. Okay, I will tell you the name of the series. But we made it in co-production with Polish company Apple TV Film Studio, with the Czech television. Our distributor was Beta Film. As I told, it was on the air a try in Italy and Tarte in France and Germany. For another series which we co-produced for this year, and the premiere screening will be in some days in Dubrovnik at the NEM festival and NEM market. The name of this project is The Silence. It's a 6 episodes drama thriller, and our partners are the Croatian production company Drugi Plan, the German distributor Beta Film, and the VOD streaming service All.TV. It is directed by Croatian director Dalibor Matanic. By the way, he was recently awarded on Series Mania this year in the International Panorama for his project The Last Socialist Artifact. What I can say about these two series? So the name, I remind, the name of the first series is The Pleasure Principle. It's directed by the Dariusz Jablonski, Polish director. So for the subject of both of them is interesting for as Russian audience, as Croatian or Poland, because the subject is for speaking about the common senses, and at the beginning the idea of is very clear, and we understood with our partners that it could work for our audience. in our country, or in Poland, or in Croatia, or even in Germany and in Italy too. Another example, when we of co-production, it's another way when we can, for example, work with a very strong brand. For the example of such co-production is our feature documentary, which we're producing right now. We are making this project in partnership with German Kinescope Film, also with Arte and with Salzgitter, German company. This is the feature documentary which called Bolshoi, Rise and Fall Behind the Curtain. In this project, we follow a life of one of the most known theaters of the world, Bolshoi Theater, through the whole season during 1 year, and focus on untold behind-the-scenes stories. This film we plan to premiere next year. Another example which I want to also to present to you, it's not our co-production, so we made service for this project, but I hope that next project will be in co-production. It was our first experience in collaboration with Netflix. This is the feature film, The Last Mercenary. It's premiered on Netflix on July 30th. It's a comedy action movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And this film demonstrated excellent results for taking the first position in the top 10 most viewed Netflix films in the world. And for us, it was very, very interesting experience to organize everything, all service, all of things for this feature film. Honestly speaking, we are looking for different projects which could be interesting around the world, which could be interesting worldwide. For example, now we are in development with another two partners, another project which we developing with Fremantle, Poland, which called The Imperial Spy. And I hope that next year, maybe we will start to shoot it. Another project we also developing with Israel Hot Television. As I told, we can find two main ways of it could be subject which could be interesting for different audience around the world, or for our territories, for example, Italy and Russia. Or it could be well-known worldwide brand, and we can make story around this brand. So we are very open. We want to work with Italian companies and welcome. And please, if you have some ideas which could be interesting for our audience too, we are very open and we want to work with you. Thank you.
A questo punto tocca a noi italiani cominciare a raccontare.
It is our task to start and say something. I invite Nicola Maccanico, the administrator of RAI, to say something. He's the CEO of Cinecittà. He's the Italia Most Film, and Maria Pia Mirati, director of the Italian section.
Hello, nice to meet you. Hello.
Un lapsus, no? Quello.
You never know. Last time you were the chair of Cinecittà, we have switched our positions. I was before him in Cinecittà. Rai is in very good hands, I can guarantee. Starting from here, should I start? I took the floor. We can say, I have a very short contribution. We can say that, first of all, we should stress important cultural relations with Russia and with the world before modern Russia, that is to say, the Soviet world. These relations have already been mentioned, cultural relations that have developed on different departments and themes, art, literature, writings, music, and cinema as well. So before mentioning any other aspect, cinema can be mentioned as something that has brought together Italians and Russians. We were great admirers in Italy of Russian cinema. Nostalgia by Tarkovsky was mentioned before. It is one of the most appreciated movies, Russian movies in Italy. It was shot after the First World War. It was a tour in Italy. It is the journey in Italy par excellence by a Russian who had chosen Italy and Lazio, the region Lazio, as his homeland. And together with Tonino Guerra in a house very close to what is the headquarters of Rai today, started a journey in Italy of a great Russian citizen who watched Italy with an open gaze, looking for Italy's intimacy, and he made one of the greatest cinema works in the history of cinema. Was really moved by Nostalgia by Tarkovsky. Nostalgia is a Rai product, by the way. We are still holder of the copyrights in our cinema library. A few years ago, I decided to restore this movie. I had called my Russian friends of the archive, of the Cinema Archive of Russia, to restore it for one of our festivals. We didn't manage to because Americans, and we do not know how they did it. Maybe we should discuss this with the CEO of Cinecitta. The Americans managed to bring out uh, the reels of Nostalgia to restore it before us. We should start with cinema before speaking about series. Series are the main subject of storytelling, and mainstream and non-mainstream audiovisual sector. The imagination all over the world, the source of inspiration for most audiovisual production are TV series. They adopt the processes we have in cinema and the techniques that are used in cinema, but they manage to fuse them, and they can trap both technical staff and directors from cinema to work for TV series. We do not have in Italy, and I'm saying this as Rai and in probably independent producer do so, we do not have co-productions in series in particular. We have not yet developed important co-productions with Russia. And I'm grateful to you for this meeting because I am convinced Russia today, from the point of view of series, is particularly interesting. I've seen a series on Trotsky, for example. It is an experiment somehow of a new series, although it is based on historic events. But we might also mean series about dystopic situations, epidemics. Sparta was another interesting title, Better Than Us, another interesting series. It is clear that we should start a co-production activity with Russia first because we have a common history starting from great cinema but also art and culture in general. Second, because Russians are particularly skilled in developing and investing in, as we said yesterday, investments are not neglectable. Investments are fundamental. We should think of money together with the quality of the product. Otherwise, you cannot have products. So from this point of view, I would say RAI has a great story in terms of productions of Russian stories. The old TV series of the past that have been transformed into new series today. We invented many things, but RAI, as many other public television broadcasters in Russia as well, RAI was one of the protagonists of the so-called sceneggiato, the sitcoms of the past, the series of the past, and texts were based on Russian stories and Russian novels and writers, Dostoevsky, Pushkin, Anna Karenina, the Karamazov's brothers, the daughter of a captain. Great novels of the 19th century that were translated into scripts for cinema and for television. At that time, we only have public television, RAI, but the story of serial productions is a long story and it should be updated, keeping into account the possibility of new co-productions, especially with independent producers and large groups. As I said yesterday, and as some of you already know, we are protagonists as RAI of a form of alliance that is the alliance for co-productions between the three largest European co-producers, Italy, France, and Germany. We are committed, the three of us, to look for European products and international products as well. We should think of our domestic products, but also to European products and international products. And the alliance is central for this effort. Something we should discuss within the alliance is that we should open up to other countries, Russian first. Thank you, Maria Pia. This is what we are trying to do. In our internationalization efforts, we develop parallel lines. We try and create occasions to sell the finished Italian products, and we can do this with Russia. We try to meet to develop co-productions, and this is something we can do with Russia. And third, we offer our territory as a country with the different supports provided by our government for co-productions, and this is something we can do with Russia. The objective of this meeting is intensifying co-productions, attracting Italian and Russian producers in this sector. At this point, I would pass the floor to the CEO of Cinecittà, Nicola Maccanico. Good evening. Thank you, Roberto. I thank the Ministry of Culture that is, again, creating the possibility to meet and discuss together with the right approach, thinking of business that creates value and employment at supranational level. But this must be based on mutual knowledge, which is the necessary precondition to work together. This is what most strikes us. As the ambassador said before, we have many things in common, but the geographical distance brings us to an insufficient level of mutual knowledge and dialogue. In the new world, the relationship between Italy and Russia could further develop with very interesting results. There are many new elements if we think of the history of co-productions. There are new opportunities that did not exist before. If this type of interaction started because of the need to build something together, which meant to find a story that could work in both countries, putting together situations and faces from both countries, thus creating something successful in both countries, normally the result was an hybrid production that was not successful at all. We have something new now. There is a search for new contents, and contents can travel at a high speed. We cannot have a product with a Russian head and an Italian body. We must build products that can travel in different countries and should not find problems in distribution. The fact that digital distribution makes content easier to be distributed facilitates. This is one of the things we can do today between Italy and Russia. The European market is larger. The co-production market has grown in terms of size. There are larger budgets. We can travel and build movies more easily than before. This provides us with the possibility of going to Russia. We have seen the clip before, and as a tourist, I really felt the desire to go there because of the possibilities we have there, but it also works the other way round, which is what we are mostly interested in. So we should think of products that are not necessarily Italian-Russian co-productions, but that can be realized both in Italy and in Russia. And in order to spare some time, I go back to Cinecittà. I'm glad to be sitting close to Maria Pia. I want to thank her for the great job she did in Cinecittà in the years when she was the chairman. I thank her for this, and I'm still benefiting from her work, so I'm happy to thank her publicly. The idea of development for Cinecittà is not just an idea to build a European hub in which we hope we can host Russian productions, Italian-Russian productions. It is a clear sign that Italy trusts the construction of a productive infrastructure, so that Italian producers and international producers can find a country available to support them. You know Italy, a country making available territories, fundings. We have tax refunds that are quite substantial. Cinecittà is proposing not only public fundings, but also a site that is looking at the future. Cinecittà will do so by moving in three directions. Cinecittà, thanks to the work done by Maria Pia, is working with a great success. We already see many things on the platforms in theaters that are shot in Cinecittà. Cinecittà has three problems we want to solve by means of the new recovery plan. We have a problem with size. Cinecittà is not large enough, has no large enough studios, and in the world of co-production, having large studios is fundamental. We have Teatro 5 and Teatro 15. They are full at 80% of their capacity during the year. We have no space if they ask for it. In the other theaters, occupancy doesn't exceed 50%. We need larger theaters, therefore. We need to enlarge them to host larger productions. The theaters today are not only places where you can shoot nice interior scenes, but you can also shoot external scenes that would be too expensive if shot outside, but can be shot inside. We have a big screen, 360 degrees, and we are also building a theater with a smart stage, something that does not exist in Europe. And a third aspect, a business aspect, that is sustainability. Very soon Cinecittà will be a zero impact setting that will make us available to interact with all productions in the world. It is a 5-year plan, but we are available to provide you with the necessary information. If you think of Cinecittà, you should think of it as the paradigm of a country that is aiming at enlarging its creative talent, adding to it the infrastructure that is necessary to production and creativity, something that did not exist in Italy to date. We hope we will work in co-production with Russia thanks to these developments. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you, Maria Pia. Spasiba, Olga. We have to change speakers. I would invite now Riccardo Tozzi, co-founder and chairman of Catleya, Artem Vasiliev, Metrafilm, and Vadim Vereshchagin, CEO of Central Partnership.
Maybe you start.
No, with Russia. You prefer the... No, better.
I follow you. Buongiorno. I'm happy to introduce you two very different speakers, because if Vadim Vereshchagin is representing, and he's the CEO of one of the biggest distributors in Russia, so he is actually the distributor. He's also the producer of the company which produces the most high-grossing films within the country. He's also the partner of Paramount and the biggest other countries who distribute films in the Russian cinemas. So he's very much aware of the situation both locally as well as globally. They also recently started one of the co-productions with Latin America, and we asked him to join because he can actually discuss and enlighten you about the situation with various products on the Russian markets and global markets is specifics. And actually in Russia we do not know much about Italy. That's why we are so happy to start this dialogue. The second producer who is here with us is Artem Vasiliev. He's a completely different type of producer. If Vadim is representing a huge distributor company, Artem is a very boutique producer, very much focused on the art house films, very successful in that. He's constantly, and his projects are always represented on the main festivals. His recent one was actually in Cannes. And the second branch of his story is animation. Russia is very successful in animation too. It has historically been the country with a big history in animation. We have full-scale movies as well as series. And the series who are produced by Artyom's company are now distributed in more than 150 countries in the world. They are on top of all major platforms with cartoon networks and so on and so forth. So if with Vadim I would speak more about films, Artyom I would like to speak more about animation and perspective on co-production with Italy.
Da parte italiana invece abbiamo Riccardo Tozzi, che non devo presentare.
For Italy we have Riccardo Tozzi, no need to present. He is also worked in the past with other productions. He represents Carleia, one of the most important Italian players in the audiovisual, and both for cinemas and for TV. We decided to make a sort of deeper presentation of the Russian partnership in order to show the Italian partners how much the Italian market is varied. And we will soon go to Russia. We will bring the video of Cinecitta, and so we will have the opportunity of introducing ourselves more deeply. So we prefer to focus on the Russian presentation, because this is a very important moment. So we give the floor to Riccardo Tozzi, and then we move to the two Russian friends. Yes, I think I can say that the wave of the digital revolution has changed the world totally, and it had a particularly strong impact on the audiovisual industry, and we were really shocked by this. And today we are here with Russia. We missed Russia very much in the past, and the previous presentations all underlined the long history of relationships between Italy and Russia, both in arts and culture, a very old relationship that has been revitalized thanks to the cinema partnership and collaboration. I was lucky enough at the beginning of my career. When I worked for Rai, I was responsible for the co-production of Nostalgia, and I was with Maria Pia, and I was very much fascinated by this film that never disappeared, that has never disappeared. And then I also sold to Russia the TV series La Piovra, and it was the very beginning of my career. And the relationship with the cinema and the Russian and the TV in Russia was very important. Then a more complicated period followed for all of us, and in all the areas of the film industry, there was a sort of slowdown. Now things are opening up again, and we are finding back this relationship that I very much missed. A couple of words about Carleia. It is a company that I founded 20 years ago, a cinema production company. We produced about 70 films, and we have always been very much focused on the cinema with great authors, enabling authors to make very free choices, open to the international market. As with the last film about Mussolini with Zeffirelli, Io non ho paura by Salvatore, Il mobile by Castellitto, Mio fratello e figlio unico, all those films were co-produced and distributed internationally. Since 10 years we have been focusing on the series production, and in particular we opened the production line for pay TV and platforms in Italy, like Romanzo Criminale, Gomorra 000, for Sky, Netflix, and we also developed a strong relationship with RAI, and in particular we tried to sort of support the approach that RAI adopted for the production of series with renewed subjects and new subjects and new products. I think it's a very important alliance, shall I say, when you mentioned the opening of this alliance to other partners, and Russia namely. I think it's very fascinating. It's full of potentials indeed. As Nicola has just said, today we have a kind of production for platforms, which is by its own nature international. The Italian series that are made with platforms, through platforms, are automatically distributed in all the markets, and we are lucky enough because we can see series from many countries, from Russia, but also from other countries like Turkey, Lebanon, Iraq, representing a world that is totally unknown to us, and that are an extraordinary element of knowledge and also of approaching other cultures and building a sort of bridge, because when we share a tale, that is something that unites people and peoples. There's also another very important activity with concerning the cinema and the TV production, and we work with the traditional co-production programs. That is very important. Pay TV also follows the mechanisms of co-production, like, for example, Jungle is a combination of Sky Italia, Sky Germany, Sky England, Canal Plus in France, Studio Canal for the distribution, and Amazon for the American market. So it's a very complex and complicated, I would say, production. As you can see, it is the traditional mechanism type of co-production, but which is enriched by countless new opportunities. So Russia has been on my mind since this afternoon. I'm looking forward to create new projects and also to receive proposals for new products and projects. I also look forward to knowing and to traveling in such a great, beautiful country with such a diversity. I have always thought that a good production is based on a creative participation. So the partners must share a common passion for the idea and also for the artistic side of the project, and as well as a sort of willingness to plan it and to spread it to a wider territory. So co-production must be considered as something concerning two or more territories, but being at the same time very much open. So it's a collaboration among producers, but also among artists. And there we have a great experience of collaboration between Italian and among Italian and Russian artists in the field of cinema, but also in many other films. So I really think it's a very good opportunity. Thank you for inviting me to participate, because this opens up a new perspective, one additional perspective and opportunity, which is all the more important considering the culture and the history of Russia. And it has also a sort of sentimental value for me. Thank you.
Vadim. Vadim, since you're not only importing all international major films, but also exporting Russian cinema, and the best Russian movies are going through you, you're definitely exporting to Italy. And as we were discussing now also with Italian colleagues, it's very important to understand the customer, basically the viewer, that's the key. And what is the difference, as you see, of the products which you deliver to Italy, and what is the core, and just elaborate maybe more on that, what you see, where you see the potential.
Thank you, Eugenia. First of all, buonasera, добрый вечер, good evening. Before I answer your question, I'd like to thank the organizers of this event. This is really great, and I think it will work for the benefits of the collaboration between both of our countries. And it's always good to just exchange experiences. Now, to your point and to your question, yes, we are distributing local content across the world, and in various titles. I mean, it could be drama, it could be comedies, or it could be horror films or big action movies. I mean, you name them. I mean, obviously, for certain countries, certain genre works well. For other countries, the other genre works well. Like the horror movies, for example, they work great in Latin America for whatever reason, it just works. And then dramas, they work great in Europe in general, but also in certain Asian countries. So really, I mean, the approach for each movie is very different. As for Italy, yeah, we release, I mean, we distribute, I would say, probably 5-6 movies a year, Russian movies, to Italy. None of them open theatrically, unfortunately, yet. Now, there is a certain reason to that. One of them is going theatrical is pretty expensive, as we all know. I mean, you got to spend money on TV, on outdoor advertising, you name it. I mean, it costs money. The Italian market, we understand it. We work with Paramount a lot. We share experiences. It's not a huge theatrical market, let's be honest, compared to like China or even Russia. And even in Russia, going theatrical is now very expensive. However, platforms do develop really quickly, and we're happy to say we have experience working with 2 companies at least that I've heard the names of here, Sky Italia and Rai. And also just recently we started working on a global scale with Netflix. And one of our movies, Chernobyl, which was released just recently, I think it was just beginning of the summer, in Netflix Italy was #1 for like 5 days and in top 10 for the like 3 weeks, which is a huge result. And it's a lot of viewership. And then on the other hand, when we go and buy movies outside of Russia, it's not only Paramount that we work with, we also work with Lionsgate, and we also buy movies from various markets. Now here's the problem, I mean, movie business is a business. And in the end of the day, it just comes down to what the cost is to purchase a movie. And, well, we all know the exchange rate in Russia and dollars or euros, which we normally use as a commodity for exchange, has kind of changed a lot. And to the point that was already brought up here, Russia, production costs still in rubles. So relatively low compared to other countries. So now when a movie, like when a seller, even from Italy, says, okay, I want $1 million for this movie, it is a great movie. But from the business perspective, we as a producer would rather spend $1 million in Russia and produce a local film, be successful, and then distribute it all over the world. That's as simple as that. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yes. What do you think about the potential with Italy? What do you as a producer and distributor need? Actually, if we take it very practical.
Well, I mean, there's the thing. I mean, the markets are, I'd say they have a lot of similarities. 2019, I think Italian local production was about 35%. Russia was about 28%. 2020, COVID, Hollywood stopped producing movies, local production started boosting. I mean, I think your cinemas were open pretty much the same time as our cinemas were opened in 2020. Huge demand for local productions. Russia, relatively 50%. I think Italy was the same. Now, the good thing about it, the Italian market, it's more mature than Russian. Russian content market is very new. I mean, we're probably about 25 years old. Here, it's been a century. And for that reason, we see that there's a lot of older audience which loves to consume content. In Russia, Sometimes, but not greatly. We're more of a, I'd say, younger demographic. We're up to 45 years old. And that, partially that has an effect on marketing. We need to go after our audiences, and you can't really be going after all of the audiences. I mean, the movies are normally produced for a certain audience, unless you're an Avatar, which is a different story, but there's only 1 in 10 years, as we know, or 12, whatever it's been. So it's the marketing approach which needs to be taken into consideration, as always. But also, I mean, from our experiences with other countries, good experience is actually Spain, where not many Spanish movies were coming into Russia, and not many Russian films were coming into Spain. And we've started working on co-producing with Spanish producers, because we thought that's the only way to actually, I would say, understand each marketplace, and to, well, from our perspective, we want the Spanish audience, and not just the Spanish audience, the Spanish producers know that we're here. We can produce a great quality movie at a lower price. At the same time, the Spanish producers are telling us, look, this market is open. This is what you need to actually be able to be successful on it. And I think in certain cases, that's the only opportunity. And hence, hopefully, there's more co-productions coming from Russian, Italian perspective.
Thank you, Vadim.
Thank you.
I think it's good to have also some concrete numbers. Artyom, can I ask you, so Artyom is actually the producer to talk about co-production, because he's definitely one of the pioneers of this movement and definitely one of the leaders, as well as Natalia, who is coming next after him. But I'd like to ask you about animation, because this topic we didn't touch upon yet. And I know Italian animation is very strong. So could you elaborate a little bit, maybe tell a bit more about the animation in Russia, but also tell your vision on that, what specific steps should be taken to bring the industries together and in general?
Thank you for having us here, first of all. It's quite difficult to talk after Vadim, because his English is excellent and his experience is completely different from mine as well. Well, yes, before we talk about few words about animation, I would like to say that my producer's experience started with Venice, 2008. It was Film in Venice competition, and was lucky. And we've been in talks with several times with some Italian producers regarding doing something together. It's never came to reality. But I always look at Italy as a possible partner. I just don't really had particular information in Italy, and I didn't have the right story. But I believe that you have to have three things to do a successful co-production. First of all, you have to have a great story and a natural story for the co-production, because it doesn't work anyway, other way. Then you have to have an artist to do it, or the creator to do it. And then, if the producer really wants to happen, to make it happen, he will, obviously, get the knowledge, even though we didn't have this in structured yet. And thank you very much for you guys starting this process to get this information structured and being prepared for the producers. That's before we come to the animation. Animation is a different story. First of all, because we are more now concentrated, we do features and full features in animation, which is interesting, but we're also more concentrated on series, and we started with kids series. This type of animation is really in demand in Russia, and it's booming, although probably there are too many kids series now have been produced all over Europe. And talking about animation is something which was not really affected by COVID that deeply as actual physical production. And that's why I believe that co-production and animation has a lot of potential, not only because different countries will work on one project together, but also because physically it's much easier than to do a real feature film production, where you have to bring people in or take people out. So, but we are very much interested in developing project together with other countries, and we've been looking on different countries like Poland, Japan, Ireland, and recently Canada, and been really active in discussing and actually starting the co-producing animation series, not only for kids now, but also for adults, because this sector is developing in Russia as well because of the platform, because platforms want adult animation or animation for grown-ups to be presented in their range of product. And we've been looking for ideas, and it's not that easy, unfortunately, with animation. With kids animation, the limit is basically sometimes now is different cultural approach or social approach. Like, for example, gender questions, which are a bit different in Russia and in other parts of the world those days, in certain aspects. Doesn't make our life easier. Because, for example, in our successful international series, some of the episodes have been taken out before they put it in air in different countries, like in Great Britain, for example. With grown-ups, it's also a little bit it's tricky because you have to do possibly most comedy or fantasy. Fantasy is easier. Comedy is more complicated because comedy has a really national aspect. Although it's all possible, we're very much open for this. And I have to say that lately, Russian government or Russian authorities deals with film business became really film friendly, because before that, Russia was not really, some years ago when we started co-production, it was quite difficult actually to promote the idea of co-production, because people just thought they didn't need it. But the activities we're seeing lately, like Minority Fund, film commissions, Roskino, complete reboot. Thank you, Zhenya, for this. Shows that Russia really feels the co-production as really working instrument. And we as producers really feel that support, and we are ready and glad to share this with our possible partners. As for Italy, has been said a lot of words about the common cultural developments. Definitely, it's the country to look at, and I would love to co-produce with Italy for many very obvious reasons. Again, with animation, you're also not really doing the national co-productions, because most of animation shows are financed by private media companies those days. But you can do a combination, really, I think. And for series, for example, we don't have a big support of, again, national public funds. They don't really support series, either animation or live action. But it doesn't mean that co-productions are not possible. We're developing co-productions at the moment with other countries. So I'm definitely looking at Italy as a potential partners, not only for animation, but for other stuff we're developing. So I think I would end up my short speech with that.
Spasibo Artyom, spasibo Vadim, grazie mille Riccardo.
Thank you very much, Riccardo. Spasiba to our friends. I would like to invite Roberto Sezza from Pico Media, because he will tell us something that we have just discovered. So please tell the audience, because it's very interesting. Meanwhile, we're going to change the people speaking on stage. So there's something going on. Yes. By chance, yesterday I was speaking with Roberto. He was talking about this panel, and I said, we are lucky because we found a company in Russia, and we found a project that we've been working on for 5 years, and that we're going to announce shortly. It's a 6-hour series based on a real life story, and it includes Italy and Russia. It involves Italy and Russia. The protagonist is an Italian child who, in 1982, was lucky enough to meet a real genius in Russian orthopedic surgery. Izadyrov was his name, and this doctor was working in this hospital in Siberia, and it's the story of this mom and this child who in 1982 decided to undergo this surgery to make the legs of the child longer, and it's the beginning of an odyssey for 1 year. And just imagine Russia in 1982. There was no communication. It was very difficult to speak with the Siberian areas. You need to have a sort of connection through Moscow, and the KGB was controlling everything. So we submitted it to our Russian partners, knowing that Ilitsarov is a very important scientist and in Russia, and 5 hours out of 6 will be shot in Russia, 1 will be shot in Italy. The screenplay is being written in collaboration, and I think in 2021 we're going to, or 2022, we're going to start the shooting. Thank you, Roberto. By the way, we discovered this afternoon that there's also Italian producer in Greenland who is setting up a project between Italy and Russia. So, you know, it was already open enough, and now it's getting even more so. Now we're going to invite the last speakers, last but not least, and Maria Giuseppina Troccoli, the director of the cinema department of the Ministry of Culture, Natalia Drost, e
Lashana. They represent the private fund of Abramovich, who is really helping a lot the industry and giving a lot of funds in the last years. Anton Malashov should be also on the screen first. And Svetlana Maximchenko will finish it from our side. She's the director of cinematography in the Ministry of Culture. And she's basically the person who is driving and helping the whole industry, as well as development of co-production within the country. We should be speaking first? Okay. Then, Anton, I would say the floor is yours. Anton is representing the private fund, so this might be interesting for our Italian partners.
Thank you, Zhenya. Hello, everyone from rainy Moscow. I would like to thank the Venice Film Festival and Roskino team for organizing this amazing event. Kinoprime was founded 3 years ago, and we are the first private foundation Russian film fund, private Russian film fund. We have a team of experts who review every project before we make a decision on which of them to support. Now we have more than 50 projects, and of course we will be happy to take a more active part in international co-productions. Anna Shalashina, head of international department of Kinoprime, will elaborate on how we would make it work. Anna.
Can you turn to the next? Yeah, thank you.
Foundation was established in 2019, as Anton mentioned. So far, we have received 480 just 1 second, please. 480 applications, and we supported 50 projects, and 30% of them are co-production projects. So the total investment of our foundation is 28.9 million euros. So what are the assessment criteria? We, of course, look at the artistic concept, on the originality of the idea. We also assess the track record of the team behind the project, and we'll look at the potential box office and festival strategy of the project. So who can apply? Basically any project is valid, but the project needs to have a Russian partner. And yes, we do help find the right Russian partner for your project. The application process is open all year, so you can apply at any stage of your project. The projects can be in development or in filming or in post-production. It usually takes about 2 or 3 months to hear back from us. The project might have Russian elements and they are really welcomed, but they're not compulsory. And we finance up to 50% of the budget with a cap of $1.5 million. So when the project comes to us, it's first assessed by the expert board, which consists of well-known Russian filmmakers, film critics, film directors, and producers. So all their names are on our website. And I just wanted to mention a few projects that we have already supported that were shown at the Venice Film Festival, and thank you so much for hosting this event. The Criminal Men, that was in Venice a couple of years ago. Captain Volkanogov escaped. That is presented at Venice Film Festival this year. And we also have one debut feature film, Kita Boy, The Whale of Boy, that actually won the Venice Days last year and the conference. So thank you so much. This is a short presentation of KinoPrime. So here's my email, as@kinoprimefoundation.com, and we're really looking forward to reading some Italian projects.
Thank you very much, Anton and Anna. Thank you. It was short and efficient. I see some of you are making pictures. I just wanted to let you know that we have catalogs with all the emails and contact details, and always you can reach us, so we will share it with you. And the next word is to Natalia Drost. She's also the co-production partner, and as I mentioned, her film won in Cannes right now in June. So Natalia, just give us some very practical, because Natalia's background is being a lawyer. So she is very straightforward, very to the point, and I know you have never done anything with Italy. So can you give us some ideas on that, what type of stories you're looking for? What type of information you're looking for, and what we with Roberto should do to improve the dialogue.
Yeah, thank you, Zhenya, and thank you for inviting me here. Of course, I've been around for at least 15 years in the whole co-production things, but in fact, I never co-produced with Italy, and I really questioned myself why. And I think that's I wouldn't say it's a problem, but it's like a challenge that used to be a challenge for Russia as well, that our country unfortunately hasn't been like transparent for co-producers from the other countries. Now, like Artyom told us, and it's complete truth, during the last 2-3 years it changed. So we have now a very systematic vision of what are the opportunities for co-productions from Russia, and I think that now in Russia we experience a brilliant moment generally for productions and for co-productions, because we have the special fund for the minority co-productions. You just heard the opportunities that KinoPrime Foundation is providing, and there are also a lot of VOD platforms in Russia who are also participating in, I would say, art house films and art mainstream films as well. So really, when I'm meeting my friends from Europe, they are kind of surprised how well we are doing right now in Russia. And of course, we are welcoming everybody to co-produce with us, because Russia is not, of course, it still is not the first suspect when you are thinking of co-producing. And this is why all the tools formally are there, and the money is there, but still we need to spread the word about it more. And I'm really happy that we are here talking about it. So yeah, and this is what I really want to know about Italy, because I really need a systematic vision. I'm discussing now a project for Minority Fund with my Italian co-producer, possible co-producer, and I was really surprised that this fund exists. I never heard about it. Now I know. And of course, we all know that there is like national foundation in Italy, and there are like local fundings, and probably I have no idea if television brings some money into co-production. So really, there is certain lack of information from the Russian side about Italian possibilities. And my idea is it's very simple, and I'm not inventing anything. I would suggest to make like probably a special event, bringing, let's say, best 5 Russian producers who really co-produce and who proved it with their films, and to bring again Italian producers and to bring authorities, representatives of funds, and just, you know, to make like, you know, a nice round of nice talks, just, you know, sharing. And of course the best situation would be if everybody would have a project, but it's just like an idea situation. As we all know, there are not so many projects that can be co-produced from between Italy and Russia. I mean, it's always like tailor-made job. But let's meet. I mean, we have through these 2 years of very tough situation, and we really need to meet personally and, you know, to there. And I think it's a great moment to make it after this great event, just, you know, to meet people and to talk between people. And I've been, I think, 3 times at When East Meets West in Trieste, which is a great event in Italy. And we even, I mean, Evgenia even made this year like a sub-program of Kibar's event, which is a digital platform for co-production as well, for projects from Europe who were looking for minority money from Russia. So there is already a contact, so probably let's just go deeper and further with it. Yeah.
So much.
Thank you.
È giunto il momento di sentire la direzione generale.
It's time to listen to Maria Giuseppina Troccoli for the Cinema Department of the Ministry of Culture, to listen to what Italy is proposing to our Russian partners. We have spoken of many subjects. You have already mentioned different proposals. Many days would be necessary to analyze in depth the different possibilities. I will not analyze all of them in detail. We have already mentioned the traditional relations between the 2 countries and what culturally unites us. What emerges is that despite our things in common, we have a little, just a few co-productions and a difficult distribution of the mutual productions in our countries. I hear with pleasure, I knew about it, that some new co-productions are being realized, both the one you mentioned, but also others that are developing, that have in common something that is fundamental, the stories that have to be shared stories, stories that can speak at international level as well. It is a favorable time for these productions because besides distributing them in our countries, we can exploit a global distribution that did not exist before. So we need to have universal stories appealing to the whole public in the world that can open up our cinema theaters. I heard before about the difficulties you find in distributing movies and feature films in Italy. We have a fund to support the distribution of Italian movies abroad. Maybe it is not well known. We will spread information, disseminate information about this fund. Every time we have found a problem, we have always provided an opportunity. We have always tried to create, invent, develop new tools suited to that problem. Maybe we might invent something to support the distribution of movies in theaters, because I heard about the difficulties in that sector. As regards co-production, I would like to recall that Italy, over the last few years, has done a lot to support this sector. In 2021, we have allocated 700 million euros to support this sector, not only production but also festivals and the marketing of movies in particular. One of the most important tools is tax deduction, tax credits that would be divided in two parts in the sector of cinema. The tax credits for foreign movies shot in Italy, with a tax rate of 40% of all expenditures born in Italy. It is one of the most interesting tax credits in the world, which might be coupled to the fact that Italy is not only offering a wide range of locations, you all know, that are interesting from a touristic point of view, cities of art, and small, beautiful villages. Our Russian friends are well aware of these aspects of Italy, but we also have different support tools on the territory, regional funds that can be added to the tax credit that is already provided by the Italian state. This for foreign movies. As for co-productions, they are strongly supported, first of all, with the tax credit. The tax credit amounting to 40% devoted to national productions, and therefore also co-productions that are considered as national productions. They have a tax credit amounting to 40%, not only for expenses that are borne by the Italian producer, but also for the expenses that exceed the Italian quota, but that are borne on the Italian territory. If there is an Italian-Russian co-production, partners are at 50% each. It is shot 80% in Italy. The movie would enjoy 80% tax credit, not only therefore for the Italian part of it. And this is very interesting, I think, for our partners and for our Russian friends. Moreover, we have, I'm trying to be very short, you might ask for further information about the different aspects. There is a fund for minority co-productions, Italian co-productions. It also supports small Italian productions that can join international larger productions, thus favoring co-productions in general. So we have a number of different tools that also apply to the audiovisual sectors, not only theatrical productions. One more thing I would like to say, I've heard something about animation. We have a niche production of animation movies, not serial products, not for kids. We have a company in Naples in particular. It emerges from our landscape for animation, not series, not for kids. So there are good possibilities of collaboration in this sector. My idea is that we are in a large kitchen where we have the different ingredients, but you have to switch on the fire. You have to switch on the fires to start cooking. We will certainly be in Russia as soon as we manage to organize an event for for this objective. I really hope we can organize something that can present the whole range of possibilities Italy can offer so that co-productions can be started that are stronger as our two countries deserve them. Your words are even more important as they are told by somebody who hates cooking. We can now pass to the conclusions.
To invite to the stage our Ministry of Culture, Svetlana Maximchenko, because she's doing a great job now. She has been appointed more than 1.5 years ago, but during this short period, she made a great effort in helping the industry. Svetlana, the floor is yours. We can hear you. Just a moment. Maybe you turn on. Yes, now we can hear you.
Yeah? Okay. I'll be very brief and just round off the conversation. It's a big honor for us to have focus on Russia at the Venice Production Bridge. And I believe that such events will lead us to the new connections, new relations, and finally new co-production projects, step by step. As most of you have mentioned, we have very rich history of Russian-Italian cultural relationship. And I hope we could keep these traditions to create co-productions projects with Russia and Italy. And we signed official agreement between Russian and Italian governments on cooperation in cinematography nearly 20 years ago in 2002. But we had not so many co-production projects since. I believe that now our extremely fast growing film industry is ready to produce more content than ever before, including co-production projects. Russian Ministry of Culture have supported minority co-production since 2019. So it will be the third year this year. We just announced the conversation. We got 12 applications for minority co-productions this year, and 2 of them, it's co-production projects with Italy. And we are really happy that supported film by our co-production support have festival success this year as Grand Prix prize at Cannes for compartment number 6. And actually, we're really proud that this year Russian films are presented at the most important international festivals, including Venice, and I hope you'll see our films in program. So I hope the next year in our competition there will be more Russian-Italian projects, and we are ready to support them. We will be happy to host Italian producers in Russia. And we just started cash rebates program this year, and we'll test first project. And we'll have working film commissions in different regions, 26 regions in Russia. And we could show you our locations and our rebates programs. I believe that this is our first Focus on Russia event. It's not the last one, but the very first in a row. And that we're really happy to start this dialogue. And remembering our rich history of cultural relationship, we finally will celebrate the Italian-Russian co-production project here in Venice in a few years. And I think that this will be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Grazie.
Siamo giunti alla conclusione di questo primo appuntamento.
We have come to the end of this first appointment on the 6th of September at 3 p.m. In the Italian pavilion. We will have the second part of this focus on Russia. I thank the Department for Cinema of the Ministry of Culture, Cinecittà, its CEO, Nicola Maccanico, Eugenia, for the support and for the Russian delegation she has gathered, and the staff for those who have organized the event today, Maria Teresa Gilbo and the others. I want to thank Biennale that has hosted us See you on Monday afternoon in the Italian pavilion. Spasiba, da svidanie.